Identifying with the Sigma male archetype often reveals itself through specific characteristics and behaviors that set an individual apart from conventional societal expectations. If you naturally gravitate toward independence and solitude, finding more satisfaction in meaningful one-on-one connections than in shallow social interactions, you may align with Sigma male traits. Sigma males tend to excel in intellectual endeavors, prioritizing introspection and personal development over the need for external approval or recognition. Their strong sense of individuality and aversion to conformity can make them stand out, as they often challenge authority and defy traditional norms. If you find yourself in leadership roles without actively seeking them, preferring to guide by example rather than through dominance or overt control, this is another hallmark of a Sigma personality. Additionally, Sigma males typically exude a quiet confidence, valuing skill and competence over charisma or outward showmanship, and they often feel most fulfilled when pursuing their passions on their own terms. Embracing these qualities and reflecting on their influence in your life and relationships can provide insight into whether you identify with the Sigma male mindset. Are you feeling like just a roommate in your own home? At the Dominance Academy, they help men boost passion, reclaim respect, and restore their power in relationships. Step into your strength and transform your intimate life. Join the Dominance Academy, where Sigma men rediscover leadership and connection. Go to the link in the description. Number 1. Social hierarchies have never made sense to you. They seem like arbitrary constructs meant to box people in and impose limits on their potential. You can navigate any social setting effortlessly, yet you never feel the need to conform to the established roles or rules. At work or in social situations, you don't concern yourself with titles, positions, or the unspoken power dynamics that others seem to obsess over. Whether you're engaging with a CEO or a janitor, you interact based on mutual respect, not status. You understand the value of authority when it's earned, but you're equally comfortable challenging it or bypassing traditional structures when necessary. The usual social games where people jockey for position and try to climb the ladder don't appeal to you. You prefer genuine connections built on authenticity and merit rather than the superficial markers of success. This perspective sometimes leaves others uneasy, especially those who thrive on climbing the social ladder. But for you, it's about integrity and personal values. You define your worth by your actions and beliefs, not by your place in the pecking order. This independence shapes your Sigma identity, allowing you to remain outside the constraints of social expectation and live on your own terms. Number 2, small talk and office gossip are like nails on a chalkboard to you. You've always found it difficult to engage in shallow conversations that serve no real purpose other than to fill the silence or entertain idle curiosity. Whether it's the latest rumor circulating around the office or a casual discussion about someone's weekend plans, you just can't get interested. You prefer deeper conversations, those that challenge your thinking, provide new insights, or allow you to connect with others on a more substantial level. In social settings, when small talk inevitably arises, you feel like an outsider, wishing the conversation would either take a more meaningful turn or end entirely. Office gossip, in particular, is something you actively avoid. The constant speculation about others feels unproductive, even toxic. Your disinterest in these trivial exchanges can sometimes make you seem aloof or disconnected. But in reality, you simply don't have time for anything that doesn't add value. Your preference for substance over superficiality defines the way you communicate and interact with the world. And those who appreciate your authenticity understand this. You see communication as a tool for learning, not for passing time or making idle observations. Number 3. Brutal honesty is one of your defining traits, even when it's uncomfortable. You don't sugarcoat the truth to spare feelings or avoid conflict. For you, honesty is the bedrock of any genuine relationship. When asked for your opinion, you offer it straightforwardly, without worrying about whether it's what the other person wants to hear. While your candor is appreciated by those who value transparency, it can be jarring for others who are used to more diplomatic, tactful approaches. You don't see honesty as harsh or unkind, but rather as a way to foster clear communication and understanding. Your commitment to truth extends to yourself as well. You are unflinching in your self-awareness, quick to acknowledge your own flaws and shortcomings. Some might call you blunt, but for you it's about being real, no pretenses, no facades. This kind of honesty doesn't always win you popularity, but it earns you respect from those who seek authenticity in their relationships. You believe that withholding the truth, even in the name of kindness, ultimately leads to misunderstandings and hidden resentment. In your world, the truth is always better, no matter how uncomfortable it may be at times. Number 4. You're a natural leader, but you never dream of seeking the spotlight. Leadership comes to you without effort, as you have a calm, confident way of guiding others. You don't need to be at the front of the room or have your name in lights to know that you've led well. Instead, you prefer to work behind the scenes, ensuring that things run smoothly and efficiently. You don't chase accolades or validation. You lead because it feels right to do so, not because you want to be recognized. In team settings, your quiet competence shines through, and others instinctively turn to you for guidance. You empower those around you, giving credit where it's due and fostering a collaborative atmosphere where everyone's contributions are valued. This approach is often misunderstood by those who equate leadership with charisma or assertiveness. But your leadership is subtle, built on a foundation of respect and results rather than attention-seeking. You take pride in seeing the team succeed, knowing that your quiet influence helped make it happen. For you, leadership is about integrity and service, not the pursuit of power or public admiration. Number 5. Your mind is a constant whirlwind of thoughts, ideas, and plans. While others are engrossed in the moment, you're often lost in your head, analyzing past experiences, envisioning future possibilities, or mulling over new concepts. This introspective nature makes you seem distant to those around you, as you're often absorbed in your own thoughts, seemingly unaware of the external world. You're the type of person who can carry on an entire conversation in your mind before ever speaking a word, sorting through ideas and strategies before expressing them. This tendency to retreat into your inner world can make you seem aloof or disconnected from reality. But for you, this mental space is essential for creativity and growth. You need the time to reflect, to process, and to figure things out before taking action. While others might rush into decisions or conversations, you prefer to think things through, weighing all the options and possible outcomes. This can sometimes frustrate those who want quick answers, but you value depth and careful consideration over impulsiveness. In the quiet of your thoughts, you find clarity and insight that guide your actions and shape your understanding of the world. Number 6. Trends don't drive your decisions. You make choices based on what feels right for you. While others might chase the latest fashion or technology, you stand apart, remaining steadfast in your own preferences. You've never been one to follow the crowd just for the sake of it. To you, trends are fleeting and often irrelevant, serving as distractions rather than genuine markers of value. Whether it's your clothing, gadgets, or lifestyle choices, You prioritize what is practical, comfortable, and aligned with your personal beliefs. When something becomes popular, you approach it with skepticism, questioning whether it truly adds value to your life or if it's just a passing fad. This independent mindset is sometimes perplexing to those around you, who may expect you to jump on the bandwagon. But for you, being true to yourself is more important than fitting into societal expectations or chasing what's fashionable. You're not against change or progress, but you evaluate it on your own terms, resisting the pressure to conform to trends that don't resonate with your values. In a world obsessed with novelty, you stand firm in your individuality, valuing authenticity over popularity. Number 7. Disappearing from social gatherings without a word has become second nature to you, whether it's a large party or a casual get-together. When your social energy runs out, you simply slip away, leaving without drawing attention to your departure. It's not that you're upset or bored, but that you've reached your limit and prefer the quiet of solitude to the noise of the crowd. This habit can leave others puzzled, as they may misinterpret your exits as a sign of discontent or rudeness. But for you, there's no need for grand goodbyes or explanations. You understand your own need for space and are comfortable retreating when you've had enough of socializing. Those who know you well understand this tendency and don't take it personally. You're simply someone who values authenticity and introspection over social rituals. After all, it's not that you don't enjoy the company of others, it's just that you need time to recharge and process everything in your own way. Your disappearing act reflects your preference for personal well-being over fulfilling social expectations, a reflection of your independent spirit. Number 8. Rules are more like suggestions to you. You've never been one to follow arbitrary guidelines without questioning their purpose. When faced with rules, your instinct is to evaluate them critically. Are they rational? Do they serve a meaningful purpose? If the reasoning behind a rule makes sense to you, you're happy to comply. But if it feels unnecessary or counterproductive, you're not afraid to bend or challenge it. This independent approach often sets you apart from others who are more inclined to follow rules blindly, even when they don't make sense. Your willingness to question authority or existing structures can sometimes create tension, particularly with those who believe in strict adherence to the status quo. But for you, it's about optimizing outcomes and finding the most effective solutions. You're not rebellious for the sake of being difficult. You simply believe that rules should be logical, just, and aligned with common sense. Your pragmatism and willingness to challenge the norm can make you a disruptor in environments that are resistant to change, but you see it as an opportunity to improve the system, not dismantle it for the sake of chaos. Number 9. Late-night shifts at the diner often bring with them an eerie stillness. But one night, that quiet was interrupted by a man who seemed out of place. He sat in a booth in the corner, his eyes fixed on you with an unnerving intensity. His gaze didn't waver, and there was something unsettling about the way he watched you sip your coffee or take an order. The diner was empty, save for the two of you, and the silence between you felt thick with unspoken tension. No one else was around to distract you from his presence, and you couldn't shake the feeling that there was something off about the whole situation. When you approached to offer a refill, he didn't respond in the usual friendly manner. Instead, he simply stared, his eyes unreadable, his silence deafening. You felt a chill crawl up your spine, unsure whether to confront the discomfort or retreat. When you finally finished your shift and he was gone, you were left with an unsettling feeling that lingered long after. The encounter didn't make sense, but it left you questioning what exactly had been happening in that late-night diner. Number 10. The cry for help broke the stillness of the night, cutting through the dense forest like a blade. The sound seemed to come from a direction where there were no trails, no campsites, no people, just the vast empty wilderness. It was a haunting sound, filled with desperation, and something about it felt wrong. You hesitated, heart racing as the urge to investigate battled against the instinct to turn back. Still, you couldn't ignore the cry. It echoed through the trees, faint but urgent, pushing you to move deeper into the unfamiliar terrain. The night was heavy with silence, broken only by the intermittent cries that seemed to be guiding you. Your feet led you through the forest, but the deeper you went, the more the cries began to fade, replaced by a growing sense of unease. As dawn began to break, you found yourself in a clearing. A long-abandoned campsite lay in ruins, the remnants of a fire pit and scattered belongings all that remained. There were no signs of distress, no person to be found, only silence. The cries were gone, leaving you with a lingering unease and an unanswered question. Had they ever been real? Number 11. It was a late, moonlit night when I found myself driving through a remote area, the kind where the only sound was the hum of the tires on the empty road. That's when I noticed the car behind me. It started off innocently enough, but after a few turns, I realized it was still there, following me closely, no matter which direction I took. My heart began to race, the tension rising as I made more erratic turns, hoping to lose it. But every time I looked in the rearview mirror, the headlights were still there. The road grew darker, more desolate, and I knew I had to act fast. I sharply veered into a narrow, pitch-black alleyway, hoping it would throw the car off my trail. The car slowed as it reached the alley's entrance, its lights flickering out completely. For a few long moments, nothing moved, the silence almost suffocating. Then, just as I was about to make a run for it, the car sped off, disappearing into the night. I sat there for what felt like hours, the unsettling feeling lingering long after I drove away. I couldn't shake the mystery of who had been following me and why. Number 12. Wandering through the overgrown grounds of a decaying estate on the outskirts of town, I had no idea what to expect, but the eerie feeling was palpable from the moment I stepped onto the crumbling stone path. The place had been abandoned for years, yet it seemed as if the building was still holding on to its secrets. The wind howled through the shattered windows, and I couldn't help but wonder about the lives that had once flourished within these now barren walls. As I ventured deeper into the ruined mansion, I saw a figure emerge in the shadows. Draped in a dark cloak, they appeared as though they were a part of the house itself, haunting it like a ghost from a forgotten era. My curiosity got the best of me, and despite a rising sense of dread, I pressed forward. In the dust-covered library, I found an old journal filled with cryptic symbols and mysterious sketches. The entries were strange, speaking of rites and rituals that had taken place within these very walls. The discovery only deepened the mystery of this forsaken place and left me wondering whether some stories should remain untold. Number 13. My friends and I had always been the adventurous type, so when we heard about the abandoned cabin deep in the woods, we didn't think twice about exploring it. The path was overgrown and nearly impossible to find, but after much searching, we finally stumbled upon the cabin, hidden in the shadows of towering trees. It was a relic from another time, with its peeling paint and sagging roof, and it seemed like no one had been there for decades. But when we ventured inside, we found something unexpected. An attic filled with old trunks, dusty furniture, and forgotten journals. As we sifted through the decay and contents, one item caught my eye: a map. It was hand-drawn, depicting forgotten paths and landmarks deep within the woods. Something about the map felt wrong, like it was calling us towards something buried beneath the quiet landscape. The deeper we looked into the map, the more it seemed to lead us to places that shouldn't exist. It was thrilling, yes, but I couldn't shake the feeling that we were on the brink of uncovering something we might not be ready to face. Number 14. The town had an unsettling history, and I'd heard stories of a legend that had been passed down through generations, tales of strange happenings and ghostly encounters in the woods that bordered the small community. On a visit to the area, curiosity got the best of me, and I decided to dig a little deeper into the mystery. The elderly townsfolk spoke in hushed tones about ancient rituals and sightings of things that couldn't be explained. Armed with nothing but their vague directions, I ventured into the dense forest, my heart pounding as the trees closed in around me. Dusk fell quickly, and the quiet of the forest seemed to grow heavier, almost suffocating. I reached a clearing where the remnants of old stone structures stood, weathered by time and neglect. In the center of the clearing, worn stones formed the outline of a forgotten ritual site. The discovery sent a chill down my spine. This was no myth, no legend, it was real. Some stories were true, and sometimes it's better not to uncover them. Thank you for your attention. You can now become a member of the channel by clicking the Join button under this video.